It's all we're recording, just so you know. You can talk. It's just I'm just saying. You can talk off mic.
I've been setting my grams at like grams lately to kind of.
Someday,
I feel like if I get on this kick, it feels.
this I know for sure.
It's so
I'm gonna be the greatest of all the me's there ever
Ladies and gentlemen, we're
were.
listening to Johnny Payne,
'Cause all my
new
life
single. Johnny is currently in the lair of the Hollywood vampires, doing the Lord's work.
I'm awake in an empty
Let's just take a minute to listen here,
wasted in the
because it's a
dark.
real tune.
Oh, mama,
This is the Bohemian Rhapsody
can it
bit,
be
right?
that you're my only friend?
That's the kind of... What's the bass line bit there? Do-do-do-do-do. Which Beatles song was that?
Someday dreaming in the
Fuck, it's a good tune.
afternoon. Always hanging on for someday soon. Don't believe in someday.
I think he plays everything on this one. It's one of those ones.
This is the best song I ever heard.
Oh. Yeah. Didn't see that coming, actually. Even though I've heard him play this on tour. Countless times.
Someday.
You were saying you like the double drum thing.
Time will really be on my side, and I'll really have it made. Just gotta hold
I think he
out,
worked hard at that.
try a little more.
He's down in LA playing this. This is where he should be. This is LA music.
Until you die.
It's Abbey Road music, but it's LA music too. Oh, mama.
Can it be
Yeah.
reality that's kicking in?
That bass line just got you again, didn't it? Which one is it? Do 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 do.
No, it's not that. This is the best song I ever heard.
Oh, it's strong, pal. But our listeners would expect no less from Johnny Payne. Expect no less.
This is the cold open on the show tonight?
Yeah, well, no, it's not really even a cold open because I just realized I've not
Hot
been
open.
recording you the whole time, so.
Oh.
But now you're in, I think.
This is what a... Oh, here we go. Hold on. No one talk. Oh,
Kind of
best song I've ever
Badfinger
heard.
adjacent.
yeah.
Certainly Badfinger. for sure.
Nielsen,
100%.
partial lineage,
I mean-
Lennon, all day long.
Yeah.
But who isn't any of those people? And I'm asking you right now, who does it the best? This guy. This is the best song I ever heard.
It's up there. I'd say like ranking, like ranker crowd, I would say top 10 songs.
Yeah.
I'd say this is one of the top 10 songs of all
Yeah.
time. I feel bad for talking over it the whole fucking time.
Goes on a bit long though, doesn't it?
No, listen to that riff.
I'm joking, man.
I know you're joking, but I couldn't even play along that time.
What about this one? Someday by The Strokes.
Okay.
This one's sick.
I've never heard it.
What about this song? Someday by Sugar Ray. I'm just going off what Spotify's giving
I'm
me.
actually quite excited to.
Do you know this one?
Oh, of course. Great riff.
I've never heard this one.
You've
Never heard that
this?
one?
Or the last one, no.
Okay.
This one's pretty sick, actually. Bit more Afrobeat.
I like the scratchy sample
More
sound.
Afro.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm really into Afrobeat music these
Like
days.
Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray.
Yeah.
and-
What about this one? Someday by
Sublime.
Nickelback. Second.
Oh wow, yeah.
2 604 releases called Someday.
That's
I guess.
right.
Man, I'm not going to be one of those Nickelback haters, but I just got to say, like, they just, when you have those like friends in your life that just take like sex too seriously.
Yeah,
Like,
it does have that kind of
does
energy.
have that
He's just like
energy.
really
It's very
clenching his teeth when he's
serious,
saying
it's like, or when you're on like mushrooms or something, and you run into somebody who's on coke, and you're like, man, you're just taking the whole thing too seriously.
Yeah, that makes sense. I will go as far as to say, on the record,
Yeah.
that I think that that's the best song called Someday ever written.
Johnny's?
Yeah.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, it's great.
Easily.
It's
Come
a
on,
fantastic
that-
song.
I didn't listen to the One
I
Republic
don't
one.
believe in
We actually
someday.
to the listeners, I'm joined today with Brandon Wolfscott and Jeff Reenis from the band I play in Yukon Blonde, and we were really fortunate in that we got to take Johnny out for a few shows a couple of years ago before the worst happened, COVID. Although playing in Kamloops is pretty bad, and he
That might have been.
Yeah, pretty bad, that one.
But he got to play these songs on the road then, and I remember it was Someday always stood out to me
For sure.
as like kind of the top. That was like kind of
Yeah,
you know,
banger.
if you were to kind of like break down a record in terms of like Spotify style, like singles. Like that was kind of to me the one that would easily get on like an acoustic chill playlist or retro vibes.
Yeah, I mean, like I think personally, not to diminish what you're saying here,
Yeah,
James.
of course
but
not.
I feel like it's definitely transcendent of Spotify playlists. This song,
Is
my mic
song
wasn't
of its
on, but
own.
I was just like, how the fuck did like they not write this song in
Already.
1974?
I agree. Yeah, it's
It's-
amazing
He
because
got away with it, yeah.
Yeah, there's only a few notes.
Yeah, how
And
did
if
you
you
do
can
it?
find a way to arrange them that hasn't been done, I think it's a phenomenal song. I've never ever written a song as good as it. I'll tell you that much.
I haven't. No,
And
I know a
he
guy-
could always just play it as on his own.
Well,
like,
that's
with
the
the piano.
testament.
That is a testament.
That is a testament
to a
of a
good
good
song.
song.
Can you not hear me?
I can hear you. You're good, man.
I was just looking at your waveform.
Don't worry
there.
about
Is
the
that right?
waves. Don't worry
He
about
can
it.
boost them.
Like you
He's
said,
gonna
I'm the
boost
house
those in
engineer.
post.
You are the master engineer.
I'm the house engineer. You don't need to worry about it. You can kick back, man. Sit
Kick
down.
back,
You're making
relax.
me nervous. Yeah, I think that's some top shelf stuff. You
Yeah.
know.
Big-
He's got a couple of them already, Johnny. Lazy
Oh, he
Love's
certainly
kind of
does.
got that energy. It's got that
It's-
top shelf thing.
That's a fucked up song, that one. It's so
yeah. Sister Rose.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Sister Ray. Sister Rose off
Or
the
Sugar
first
Ray.
Shiloh's records. Or Sugar Ray. There's also another one. I know the lyrics to that one. But yeah, it's a really good song. And for everyone, because we all know this is... We call it an Impossible Way of Life podcast, but we know it's actually the Johnny Payne podcast, and he's everyone's favorite. He'll be back. He's still in LA. He hasn't got the gig as the secondary guitar player in the shadows at the Hollywood Vampires. Johnny Depp, in the end, went for someone different. Went for someone because here's the issue. I'll explain. I just want to sort of fill you guys in on it, Brown and Jeff. Basically, like with the Hollywood Vampires setup live, we're talking Joe Perry, Johnny Depp, Alice Cooper. The way it works is Johnny Depp, I don't know if you know this, but like he's at this point got better chops than Perry. And this is like
Are you-
Perry
for real?
Yeah, Perry says it like on the record. He's like, we used to think of Johnny Depp as an actor, but actually, like, I take take lessons from him. This is on the record. This is like,
Really?
I like, put a guitar in that guy's hand and I can learn stuff.
Has Perry got arthritis or something going on here?
No, I don't think it's anything to do with that. I think it's just the truth,
Well, I was once watching, and I think it was Conan O'Brien or something like that. Johnny Depp was on there.
Yeah.
And Conan was talking about his kids watching the new Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And And he was like, well, I don't know. I haven't seen it. And he was like, what do you mean? Like,
Also, I didn't act in it. Like, that was a method version of me. That wasn't me.
well, but apparently Johnny Depp has, other than his like few early films, he's like never seen anything he's acted in.
Yeah.
And there's, I mean, he sort of says in almost every one of these interviews, it's just sort of my job.
Yeah.
The
my
thing that I'm more,
is
my
blues.
passion is music.
Is blues.
But I mean, like, he got discovered from his band, and I
Yeah.
feel like he has kind of been, I don't know, like he's been up. What's the word I'm looking for? He's been upset. He kind of has that.
Well, he didn't mean to be so good at acting.
Yeah,
He's kind of like, I actually like
Right.
the true me is a bluesman.
a bluesman.
Yeah. So anyway, and the audience knows this because they've already heard me talk about it. But Johnny went down to L.A. under the cover, I can now say,
Johnny to Johnny.
John Depp, because
Yeah.
he's going to be John Lennon at some point. So yeah, starting to shorten
John
his name.
Depp.
Right.
Johnny, I can reveal it here, went down under the pretense of rehearsing and auditioning to play. So when John Depp is like playing in The Vampires, he'll take these solos, but I don't know if you've seen his like stance is quite unconventional. His guitar is like almost kind of below his knees. Like it's kind of,
Right.
it's pretty low.
Yeah, kind of a Chris Novoselic vibe.
Yeah, sure, yeah. It's
Real
it's
low.
really low.
I was gonna go with Fieldy from Korn.
Sure. That's
yeah,
fair.
that's true.
That's
that
fair.
too.
Shin level.
Shin level, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
almost a crab core kind of
Yeah,
level.
a bit of long arm
Yeah.
syndrome.
So that's where Johnny Depp's stance kind of naturally goes. And sometimes, because of that, it's hard for him to take the solos that we all know he can play. So he has a guy who stands behind his amp playing the solos, doubling them, in case he feels it's required in that moment just to stay in that power stance.
I see.
So Johnny went down to LA to audition to be the guy in the kind of grassy knoll part of the stage where the other guitarist who's playing Johnny Depp's parts, the second shooter, basically.
Yeah, he fully is.
Yeah. Although I can now reveal, because he's nearly home and I know he's safe, and he's in his kind of he's in a safe house now, a kind of midway point, that he actually went down to, and I can't wait for him to get back, just truly get inside the vampire's lair, and he's going to come back with all sorts.
Oswald Center.
Yeah, it's that kind of vibe.
Oswald Center. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's basically been on the third floor of that tire refinery or whatever it was where Harvey Lee shot from. I don't,
Yeah.
to the back and left,
So,
and he's been there, but it's just the rainbow. It's kind of like when we hung out with Grohl,
Sure.
except that was at the Troubadour.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. Although,
for some of us, it was a good time.
Okay, so I was just a quick diversion here. I know. We're talking about our man Johnny.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear his
Who released a
beautiful voice
great
again.
song
Great
called
song.
Someday that came out today. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it wherever you find your
Apple
music.
Music. Let's
Apple
list them up.
Music.
Amazon.
Okay, hang on one second.
Deezer.
We go a bit slower because we need to remember this is an important part of this.
Okay.
You need to remember who's tied to each one. So, like, for example, Amazon, Neil Young.
Right.
He's
Best audio.
He the best quality audio. He switched. It was, what was it originally?
It's not Zune.
Well,
What was his thing?
Pomo.
Pono.
So now
Yes.
he's kind of on Team Bezos.
Okay. So that's the highest quality audio we
Apple
have.
Music is Mayer because he was like the garage band guy. A lot of his tones come from garage band.
Right.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
that's the thing a lot of people don't understand about the blues these days is there's modern blues, hard blues. You can you don't need amps anymore. Like you can so here's how it works. You can plug in straight into your M audio box or whatever. And you can choose. There's lots of amps up there. So, you can pull it up in Logic, we're playing we're just going to run some stuff off Hard Day's Night. I'm going to choose my Liverpool Crunch preset.
Hey, but I got a question for you, Mr. Slide Man, Brandon Scott.
Oh,
here.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so when I'm working with the Logic amp simulator, which I personally find
Yeah.
all the amp simulators, and I'm talking UAD, I'm talking Waves,
Brainworks.
I'm talking Brainworks, I'm talking them all.
Yeah.
Logic has the best amp simulator I've found. But how do you get feedback? You do Slide.
We're kind of jumping ahead here a little bit because I do want to talk about Brandon's
but we're just since
music.
we're here, since we're here,
Listen,
can an amp simulator really simulate feedback?
Bram,
Feedback is tough, I would say. But the gain stage is nice because you can get a pretty nice
cooking, eh?
You can get it pretty cooking.
But it's always going to sound kind of DI'd, right?
Like does kind of, yeah, always.
Okay.
I'll
wanted
give you
some
I'll give you
clarification.
that for some clarification for sure.
So you got Mayer, and he's on the Apple Music side.
He's not a feedback guy, though.
No, he's not a feedback guy. We got he's DI'd for sure, kind of a DI'd energy.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then we've got Clapton, he's blues tooth. Like he plugs into his car stereo and
Right.
plays.
Blues
It's kind of
tooth.
more Musk. That's where he is.
Plugs into his Tesla.
Yeah, and he's also Paul Allen is Windows. Paul Allen.
Oh, wow.
Because Paul Allen is Quincy Jones's favorite guitarist.
Windows XP.
Yeah, I mean, when Quincy Jones was asked on record who his favorite musician of all time is, just in front, he pipped Miles Davis and Prince to the post was Paul Allen, the CEO of Microsoft. Yeah, Quincy said, listen, I was on his yacht one time, and he was just playing, and there was a lot of beautiful women around. I think that was the best guitarist I'd ever seen play.
He said, I actually didn't even see him play guitar. He was just banging on the rails of the yacht, and I knew this guy had talent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was in a band, Paul Allen, rest in peace, with Joe Walsh.
No fucking way.
Well, you got that much money, you can do whatever you want. So anyway, Johnny's down there, and he's coming back with a whole lot of stories, presumably that he's going to share on the pod once he's back, Quaid Brothers style, in a safe port like Vancouver.
Yeah, so let me get this. So he leaves. He's going to leave the Oswald Center,
Right.
and then he gets
to the Epcot Center.
He gets to the Epcot Center.
Yeah. Then he goes to Bimini.
By Black Limousine. He goes Black Limo.
No, what he's going to do
Bimini.
is, do you remember a few years ago there
Sets
was
up a bed.
Pardon?
A bed in the limo.
No, it's going to be more of a kind of. Do you remember a few years ago there was that NASA woman who was in California and wanted to get to Florida, so she had all those like space style drugs, and she took them all, wore a diaper, just drove overnight to try and stab her astronaut husband, who
Yes,
was
I do
fucking
remember
another
this.
astronaut woman.
Right.
So that's kind of more Johnny's move. It's actually the only other person who's made that journey in such a drastic kind of way was David Crosby when he was fleeing from the law. He commandeered his own, well, you don't commandeer a plane, but he flew with like an unlicensed six-shooter, bunch of crack in a backpack to Florida and was caught by the FBI there. Turned himself in, actually.
Oof.
Went to jail for like 9 months. He was on the run. You ever seen the photos of him when he got out of jail?
No.
This is like in the 90s. It's so bleak. He looks like who on the American Office, who's the bald older guy who's fat?
Kevin.
He looks like Kevin.
Yeah.
He literally comes out dressed like that. Like, I'm normal, guys. Don't worry. It's brutal.
Man,
I feel for him almost.
I don't remember where I heard it exactly, but it was a podcast or maybe a radio program I was listening to, and like, did you ever hear that dude? Like, there was a dude. I think he was like one of the children of one of the Crosby, Stills, Nash dudes. Like maybe Steven Stills, like or like so. But anyways,
you don't
he was
really
just
hear
like
that much about Steven Stills. Like, he's kind of honestly, like, I think probably autistic. Like, I don't think he has like. I think he's like really focused. I don't mean that.
probably has a dog and it's a German Shepherd.
Yeah, and he like was
That's
just
it.
focused on the blues. He was like into music and kind of until he did. And it's like you don't no one should be doing that much cocaine to the point that they think they went to Vietnam, but they didn't, and start telling people that they did and dressing as though they're in Nam.
Yeah. Well, there was this like.
I don't think he's ever had sex.
No, maybe it's possible.
I don't think he has.
But there was this like kid, and he was like talking about. No. It must have been like maybe it was Roger McGuinn's kid or something.
Oh, I mean, you can't. Roger. Okay, sorry to
It's
stop
like
you.
hands off.
Roger McGuinn. So we've been trying to figure out if there's any musicians from that era who haven't done something really bad. Like every one of them, it's like, oh no, they're great, but like, yeah, I guess they did like rape or something. Like it's hard to find anyone that isn't. Roger McGuinn might be the guy.
He might be the Keanu Reeves.
Clean
of the
bill.
60s.
Yeah, he's the Keanu Reeves of the 60s, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, also, what's his name? Modern Lovers. Jonathan
Richman. Yeah,
he's fine. Childlike innocence.
Yeah. I could see that. Almost like Michael Jackson. Like
Johnny has.
No one has anything bad to say about Michael Jackson.
I've never
That's
actually.
true.
Who is Michael?
Yeah, he did some great records in the 80s. One of them,
Johnny Payne
Hold on, but I got to tell
yeah.
you this Crosby thing.
yeah.
And I'd love to find it for you guys eventually to dissect on the pod, because this is something that I think that you guys would dig into. This guy, I think he was Roger McGuinn's kid.
Right.
He was just like, he was this dude that kept kind of showing up, and he had no fucking talent, and he thought he was better than everyone there. And they're like, you don't
Sounds
play
like
any
David
instruments.
Crosby.
Yeah. No, that's what they were talking about Crosby.
Yeah.
And he was just like, this guy was like, he thought he was fucking amazing. He thought he was great.
Yeah.
He tried to portray this like image of cool 60s whatever, but he was like the biggest poser I had ever met, and I have no idea why my dad let him in that fucking band, because he took every ounce of everything from it. He robbed that. He was talking about the Birds, and it was so, I was like listening to this, and this kid was just like, you could tell like he was a grifter. And like, I have no idea how he ended up in Crosby, Stills and Nash, like why they wanted him of all people, because this guy was a straight piece of
Probably
shit.
a cutthroat
And I was like,
businessman, opportunist, and probably a good party too.
that's kind of what they were saying.
Probably
And I was
hanger.
like, man, like we follow David Crosby on Twitter, and I was like, listen to this guy talk, and I was like, I kind of can't believe it, but I guess in a way I sort of can. Like you look at Tambourine Man or whatever, and he's just like, he's just like a guy chilling. With
He
these
certainly
guys.
didn't
Like,
write Tambourine Man.
nah, he didn't really do anything.
He's
He
got
doesn't
that great
even play.
middle harmony though.
He's got that great middle harmony, and he's got that great stance. He's got a Pavarotti stance, sort of like he's.
What you mean? He's just bloated
Yeah.
and bald.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. But no,
You ever seen those photos of Pavarotti on a bicycle?
No.
Amazing. Like amazing series of photos, like real Playboy energy. He's just like hanging out, like riding around, like going, I don't know, to get an espresso. Red cell phone, red bike, red suit. You know,
That's cool.
Kind of looks like he's just strolled out the Pompidou Center or something. It's a good look.
That's nice. I got to check those out.
You should. Everyone go and check out photos. There's a photo series of Pavarotti just being papped on a bike. It's really good. There's and he does it. It's like different. This guy's a pimp. He's literally a pimp. He's just having a great time. It's hard not to get fat eating that food every day.
Yeah,
Like,
I hear you.
You know,
It's so hard.
But also, like,
Tiramisu.
male opera singers, they seem to benefit from a little bit of weight around the diaphragm.
maybe that's why Crosby could get that middle harmony.
He always finds that note though, doesn't he?
Well, it's the same note every
Yeah.
time.
And he can
He
belt
just
it.
once you find it, you just
he's
sit,
in there.
You only sing that note. That's the genius of it.
How do we feel about Graham Nash on your pod?
He's amazing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Graham Nash is well respected.
Okay. We're in the same
Graham
sphere.
Nash is kind of like on this podcast is like
Is he with Jonathan Richman and
no,
Roger
I don't
McGuinn?
think so because but you know what he is? He kind of in terms of the IWOL universe, he's kind of like
He had the
my
Johnny.
kind of cokehead. Like he's the kind of guy who's like he's like, you know, at first when I met David and Stephen, we started singing together. It was fun, and then once we got to the second verse, it started getting a little bit scary. And by the end of the song, it was insane, you know. And he's kind of like he kind of knows that it's insane what they're doing. You know, in the mid '70s when they were on the Doom tour, which is kind of like, you know, playing like enormo domes all across the Western world. you know, his room at this point in the hotels, multiple screens of the Watergate scandal, watching it just live. And he's just kind of doing coke, hanging out. Maybe there's a couple of groupies around. He knows this is demented. Like, what am I doing? But it's okay, because soon I'll just won't do it anymore. Take the money and run. You know.
That's a.
Whereas Crosby started like becoming Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet. You know, like it never ended for him. He was like, okay, I've played Wembley. I don't get any enjoyment from coke anymore. Next step, gas mask.
So Crosby's sort of like, so Graham Nash is kind of like like Graham Nash is sort of MySpace. Like I can go hang out and check this out, but Crosby's full on Facebook. Like he's proto Facebook.
Sure,
like, he's
if
like,
you want to do it that way,
you know, he goes in hard. And he's just like, this isn't enough. And he goes.
And then suddenly he's like on a hoverboard thinking that everyone understands this is normal. And he looks like an alien.
And the earth is fucking flat.
But, well,
no,
maybe.
He's not
it's metaverse.
But
that's B2.
Yeah, B2. We're not there. We're not there.
No, we're not doing that today. But I understand what you mean. But I don't think Graham Nash is MySpace, though. I think Graham Nash is like, you know, in an
GeoCities, like Yahoo GeoCities.
I think he's just top 8
friends,
okay. But like, and then he's like, he's not concerned about dipping out. He's like, I'm in for a little bit, comfortably top 16, but I'm just like on the Marrakesh Express.
Okay,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I think that like Stephen Stills believed his own myth, started to think, you know, that like, somehow it was possible he'd been to Vietnam because he'd done so much coke. I think that like David Crosby was like sort of edging towards being like a true life Blue Velvet, like how the shit are you kind of character. And Graham Nash was like, I'm gonna just chill out and just like get into like taking photos.
Yeah,
because because I've already been in the Hollies, like it's fine, like I don't need to do it, you know. And he's kind of like hanging out, and also he's from England, like it's bleak. He moved to LA and was like, this is amazing, like why are these people fucking tripping out? It's nice here.
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna, it's like sunny every day.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, that's like, it's the same thing with like the whole Bee Gees vibe. They were just like,
let's go make some disco.
Why are people angry over here? Let's conquer.
They've clearly never been to Stockport. You know? Yeah, it's funny to me to think of that. So anyway, Johnny Payne's song Someday, certainly, you know, coming in late in the year, coming in hot for, you know, trad song of the year, I'd say.
Dopey.
Followed up closely by your own recent single, Brandon Wolf Scott. Fade Out.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's right.
So, you know, we kind of touched on it on a Patreon episode about a week and a half ago, but, you know, here we are. And, you know, I think that you and Johnny actually have kind of like a lot in common in terms of your solo endeavors.
Bit of lineage there, maybe?
Yeah, in terms of the fact that you have a genuine sort of earnest belief in the power of a song in the sort of traditional form, a kind of confessional 3-minute long, kind of a Laurel Canyon energy, really. I think of it like as being like that, or like Beatles adjacent. I think that like if you were to place you two, like who's he and who are you, if you, like Jeff, you can answer this, if you like kind of, if they had to choose avatars in like, you know, on YouTube, you know, you'll like whatever comment, like if they, so like, you know, Johnny might be Nielsen.
Yeah, he's a Nielsen kind of vibe for sure.
This is it. Johnny is Nielsen.
Yeah, who's Bran?
George Harrison.
Well, it's tough though, right?
I don't know.
It's not. He's either George Harrison or he's like
generous.
Alvin Lee.
Alvin
the Chipmunk.
Alvin the Chipmunk.
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah. It's more my style.
Was it Alvin and it was Alvin and the Chipmunk? He was the main protagonist. He was like
he was Alvin and the Chipmunks. Yeah.
So I know. Yeah, Johnny's kind of Nielsen, but you at some point. Here's the thing.
You know what, Brandon? You might have that. We were talking on the last time we were together here. You might have that Emmett Rhodes energy. You might be like,
Okay.
Sure,
you
kind
might
of a
be like,
chameleon, maybe. Of
yeah,
some
it's
sort of-
or kind of like a sort of a Badfinger vibe. Like you're like you're good. The songs that you write are amazing.
Yeah.
But you didn't invent the form like the Beatles
Right.
did.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
create it.
No, for
So
sure.
you're just making great
Homage.
forms within it, or
Yeah.
great songs within that form.
Within the canon.
Yeah.
You respect
Yeah.
the canon.
I respect the canon, and I want to contribute to the canon.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, like,
100%.
Yeah.
but you know, but the problem is that Emmett Rhodes or Badfinger, those guys they kind of lean more in the in the Paul territory. I don't really
Clown.
know anybody who leans in the George. So you might be forming new ground.
Michael
just
Rolt.
in your
Michael Roll.
Michael
for sure.
Rolt,
Michael
leans
Rolt.
George. Anyone check out Michael Rolt's
yeah.
record that came out like a couple of years ago?
100% George canon.
It's half good. It's certainly like there's a lot on it that's good, and he's kind of leaning George.
Yeah.
But I
He's-
can't think of that many people who.
Lean George.
He leans George for sure, but
It's interesting though talking about it like this, because I sort of think also when we're talking about these bands, Nielsen, Big Star's the same, and I talk to Johnny about this a lot on the podcast. It comes up, but this is a more kind of earnest version of the pod today, just because of the kind of mood that we're all in. But it's kind of dangerous to mythologize the Nearly Men of classic rock, because you're almost in a micro sense setting yourself up to like be okay with not being famous. And you think about people like Tobias Jesso Jr., who are like extremely successful and have been, their avatar too would be Nielsen or something.
sure.
But they kind of transcended it and are now recording songs with Adele, writing some of the biggest ballads. And Nielsen, Badfinger wrote one of the biggest ballads of all time that was then covered by Nielsen. And for God's sake, man, like those guys hang themselves in the goddamn closet because they wanted to be famous so badly. So we kind of like mythologize that kind of Nearly Man stuff a little bit because it's safer. I wonder like if people, I don't know who modern day equivalents would be, like, you're kind of a bit more up on the kind of the like American folk revival. I'm thinking like Morby and people like that.
sure.
Like I wonder if they kind of are just like, wearing the right hats and kind of boots and kind of just are like, listen, I'm just like getting these songs out there, or whether they're kind of like, I want to be fucking massive.
I know with Morby for sure. I don't know. He's kind of always taken that Dylan approach. Or
Well, he's doing Dylan a bit
he's
for
doing
sure.
Dylan Hundo.
And
Same
he's
with
got
the War
like
on Drugs.
Warren
Well,
Drugs
that's
is
kind of
No, no,
different.
but he also like pays homage to Dylan and owns that he's
Who's that? War on Drugs.
Yeah, he's very aware of that.
Have you listened to the new record?
Yeah,
Is it good?
I like it. It's kind of his like. I feel like it's his cokiest record. Like it's very.
Really?
It's a bit more 80s with the synths and
80s
things.
Dylan.
Yeah. I would say it is.
It's
I
interesting.
thought of another.
Yeah,
I thought
go
of
on.
another George adjacent band. By
Okay.
the way, I actually thought of a few subjects on this sort of like
Just slide.
the sort of echoes of the Beatles.
Yeah,
kind of
for
vibe.
sure.
And like, okay, so the John ones are really funny. This is what I was kind of thinking. I feel like bands like Oasis are like bigger
Yeah.
bands, or like
Yeah.
Blur. Like there was a whole vein of John.
Well,
echoes.
also Johnny Payne is interesting because Johnny Payne, and I think that to me, he is McCartney doing Lennon on this song. Like Let Me Roll It style era.
Yeah,
Let
cool,
Me Roll
yeah,
It era McCartney doing Lennon,
feel
which
that.
is like this beautiful kind of echo.
And
So
like,
he's like Johnny is like so immensely talented and so self-aware and aware of the canon. And I think that this is like ultimately and truly this is a compliment. I mean it like that. This is kind of often this podcast kind of gets bass and comedic, but like I truly think that like in terms of respecting a canon, like that extra ripple effect of like, okay, so like you've got McCartney doing Lennon on Let Me Roll It, but now you've got Johnny doing McCartney doing Lennon on Someday. And I think that that's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I think that with your song with Fade Out, you've got this kind of place of privilege and luxury because you get to do Harrison slide, but you can also hit up the war on drugs doing Dylan in the verse if you need to. You're not even doing this deliberately. It's not calculated, but we have this extra kind of, generation of, of things that, so we're kind of rebounding and unfold. It keeps folding and folding.
It folds and folds.
One example that I thought of this sort of thing is that I like Tame Impala, a band that we love.
Yeah, of course.
Is definitely, they started sort of George echoing.
Very George.
Very George.
Interesting.
100%.
And
You see, because of the Indians' kind of weird melodies.
No, I think his
it's just
voice.
his voice,
I think
and
his voice
the
kind of
melodies
hits that timbre that just like
and his
cuts.
melodies, he has those like George always picks those major 6 or minor 6 or minor 7 melodies.
Welcome to,
And,
guys,
like,
welcome to Let's Talk Blues.
I love it. Yeah, let's talk.
But he does the same like Kevin Parker's melodies always get that minor 7. Like they almost all of them.
They're kind of droney too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Droney, yeah.
But George does that too, and like in those early records, like Inner Speaker or the EP that preceded it.
Sure.
I mean, it does the EP kind of sounds like Cream, but his voice
He's
and
doing
his
it was
melodies,
creamy stuff. Creamy.
yeah, creamy. But his voice is really
George.
He's really into
Very
the George vibe.
Yeah.
And
The coolest Beatle, I guess,
but
as a young man.
But the thing
pretty
is,
cool guy.
is that with that, even within these kind of like echoes, Tame Impala's kind of forged the new sound. It's obviously like, reminiscent of, like 60s and 70s.
Well, here's
stuff
the
or
thing.
whatever.
Here's how you explain it within the sort of Time Wave Zero, Terrence McKenna Ripple scenario that I'm talking about.
All right.
Because they're a band who are listening to the Beatles through the filter of the Chemical Brothers.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So you get this kind of like, they're listening to Cream early on, or Todd Rundgren even, because there's a lot of Magic Chord stuff.
Yeah.
But they've also listened probably prior to the Prodigy and the Chemical Brothers and dance music and house music.
Let's talk Todd Rundgren. That is
Todd Rundgren.
That is McCartney doing George. Like,
Interesting.
like,
Good approach. Yeah.
It's like it's very sophisticated, but it has those like sort of ethereal kind of like melodies that
It's
kind of
space
Harrison
music
does.
in the sense that it's like, that might just be McCartney on speed, honestly.
And in ELO, kind of same vibe.
Well, they're
like,
just the Beatles.
they're just
He was
Beatles
just,
Beatles
2.0.
too. Yeah.
he was
is.
like he was just doing. He was like kind of just taking that on.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk too much about the Beatles because the new Peter Jackson movie comes out in like about 3 days.
Yeah, we're gonna have a pizza
I know,
party.
but there is fucking hype, man.
Dude,
I'm
I,
excited about it.
I mean, this is a Beatles podcast. I mean, all we're going to be talking about for the next
Yeah.
3 months is.
Yeah. The
I
break-
know,
what
we
happened.
need
breakdown.
to touch on it, but
Did you see the newest footage that came out?
I did.
I tried not to watch it just because I
Why?
want to. I don't want like
Because
previews.
you're kind of more into edging.
yeah, I am
has
into
more of an
edging.
edging
I wanna
vibe.
just
yeah.
explode soon.
Yeah, you want to kind of just you want it to kind of you don't want it. You want to keep it like on
Yeah.
a level
Yeah,
until
yeah.
the whole thing comes out.
keep it.
I don't think that's edging. I think that's abstinence. I think what you and I are doing is edging.
Edging.
We're watching the fucking
yeah, you are.
previews.
Yeah, exactly.
We're on the message boards.
Yeah.
We're talking about it.
Yeah.
We're edging. Brandon
Yeah.
is
I'm
he's
highly
taking,
religious
He's
here.
taking
just
the
like,
abstinent
I'm
approach.
out. Yeah.
Until
Until
you
Until I
get
need to
married.
get dark.
Until you get
Yeah.
married and get dark.
we're having a party. Is that what you said?
I want to have a party. Yeah, I told Graham, I was like, let's get the TV. He's got the huge TV in,
He has a
in our
TV.
crew here.
Yeah.
You know, let's get a couple.
I mean, if Graham's place is off the menu, my place is good.
Sure, yeah, we'll get a couple pints and
Get that video
Graham's a
synthesizer.
very good. Graham's a
we bought.
good
yeah,
DD
get it
right
out.
now.
We could do some.
We could do some
Background.
like oil
That'd be fun.
oil kind of
Sure.
projections.
watching a documentary
doing oil
productions
projections. Well, listen,
at the same
man,
time.
I'm going to try and recreate the
Why aren't you
experience
just
of a
watching
love
what
in.
I'm fucking doing over here? I'm doing cool
Yeah, we
oil
could-
projections.
We could
It's
have a
like-
love in.
I'm
yeah.
trying to have a be-in kind of love-in
Sure.
scenario. Yeah.
I'm down. I think it's got to be ceremonious. I think we got to make Beatles style snacks.
Tell me the top
You wanna
Beatles
go-
snack.
Well,
I want to know.
Listen,
There's a beans on toast or something.
no, I mean, here's how you do it. You go through all the Beatles songs and you just come up with food-based names.
Of course, you guys did this.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Right.
All right.
Seared rare and for every chair. Yeah. You don't sear me.
Okay, so that's like we got to get
Flax
some raw
man.
tuna, like tuna sashimi for you don't sear me.
Yeah, exactly.
And Flax Man. All right, I like that.
Yeah, so we can do stuff like that.
Okay. Well,
But,
we can have some.
do you think they're going to release all three? It's a 3-part. It's a trilogy because Peter Jackson only knows how to make trilogies.
Yeah. 2
Yeah,
hours each.
So is he going to release them all at once?
No.
Oh, they aren't. Eh?
I actually just looked this up.
Okay.
They come out on the 25th, 26th, and 27th. So, by the way,
so it's a 3-day
So
I
party.
feel obligated
Fuck those
to
shows that were playing then.
No,
I didn't
but I also-
realize that was happening.
I feel obligated to let the listeners know that everything that you guys have ever done has been building up to this advertisement for this show.
Yeah, I know.
Which is, it's coming out the 25th, 26th, and
Yeah.
27th.
Okay.
2 hours.
It's probably
each
not
day.
coming out on those
On
days
Disney
in England.
Plus.
I just realized they probably still get dicked around.
Hmm.
If someone could confirm or deny that, that would be great. Send me a message.
They should have put it on Christmas. Just
Yeah,
25th,
I just
26th,
want to
27th.
know
I'll
how
be
is it
watching
that
Mary
they
Poppins on
It's true,
Christmas
it's true.
and the
How
Great
is it
Escape
that they can, like-
and the Snowman.
Yeah, they're always like war films on Christmas.
But how is it that they can release?
I'm English. We win.
I
We
like. No,
won
it's true. We won.
more.
It's a big celebration.
They can go through 50 hours of Beatles footage and still not fucking re-release like the Village Green on vinyl. Like honestly, like I don't know how this happens. Like the Village Green is still like it's even difficult to listen to on the internet. It's on Spotify and then it's gone.
It's got to be
Like,
a Ray thing. I don't know. It's
know.
got to be a Ray thing. I feel like I read an interview with Dave Davies recently that was because he's kind of on. Dave's kind of extremely online, and
Okay.
I feel like he was saying
Think he's an
it's-
anti-vaxxer, Dave?
No, fuck no.
Ray?
No, he's evangelical, which is a bit weird.
That is weird.
Yeah, he's like pretty Christian. You'd see, you go to like
But he's at the bar every day.
Hornsey, like Sam's the guy I talked to about this because we've seen him loads there, and like, but no, Dave's he's a bit of a man about town. He's pretty normal. Sam saw him quite recently on Hampstead Heath. And
Dave or
like,
Ray?
Dave. You see Ray all the time, but Ray's really grumpy, and you can't say anything to him.
Yeah.
But Dave, you see like, all right, Dave, and be like, all right, son. Like he's kind of like he knows he's Dave
cool.
Davis. Yeah,
I mean, and also Dave wrote. I mean, I fucking love Ray Davies. He's like one of
course.
my heroes. But I gotta admit, Dave wrote the best song,
which one?
"Strangers."
Really, is that the best
That's
one?
well, I mean,
Better than Days, Waterloo Sunset.
I think that "Strangers" is better.
That's your that's
That is
your
your
one.
boy.
Strangers
Yeah.
in there. Oh man, it's just that song gets me every time. But that might also just be in the context of Lola versus the Power Man. Like you listen to that record.
I think we're going to get tons of messages about that's a controversial take.
It is controversial.
It's kind of one of those takes that, like, you say, like, hey, yeah, oh, you like the Kinks? Yeah, no, oh, no, for me, Strangers is the best.
Nah, but I mean, like, it's Dave's like, Here Comes the Sun. It's like such an incredible song, especially
Yeah.
within the context. Like, Lennon and McCartney are just throwing out songs by that point.
Right.
And they're so good they're almost by happenstance. They're just so cool. Like, Come Together.
Yeah.
It's like not the greatest song in the world, but it's amazing.
They did come together, right?
I do.
I sure hope so.
Soggy Biscuit.
We touched,
I think it's-
we
Oh,
definitely
right.
we touched on that last
Yes.
one. 'Cause
Yeah.
We talked about the Limp Bizkit thing.
Exactly.
Right.
I didn't know that was a reference to
That's
the
But-
Beatles.
But Strangers, I mean, like where that comes in like the
CUM.
context of CUMs,
Yeah.
in the context of Lola,
Yeah.
it's just like it's so fucking powerful. Like everything that Ray was doing was really fun and groovy and rocking at that time.
Yeah.
Records before and after, but that one song just hits this like. I wouldn't say it's actually the best Kinks song, but it does hit strike a chord that is like it's just so important for that record.
Is
That
it
record would not be nearly as
Good
if
as
it
Ape Man.
wasn't. Yeah, I would say it is.
I guess that's a weird thing. We talked about that walking to get a coffee the other day. That there's kind of like every British band in like 1965 did a song with a Jamaican accent.
Yeah.
Like Obladi Oblada, Ape Man, and there's like, and I guess like Jamaica's a bit like that. But there's kind of a move there.
There's a move there,
It
yeah,
must be
and
to do with Windrush or to do with the immigration patterns in Britain.
It all happened in like 68 too.
Okay.
Like all these songs are like
Yeah.
Obla Di Obla Da
Yeah.
and like Ape Man and stuff. They're all there. I mean, like there's a Stones one.
Yeah, well, we couldn't
forget it.
remember the Stones one,
The
could we?
Stones
This
one,
was
no.
kind of what we were talking about. What's the Stones song where
it's on
they
Her
do...
Satanic Majesty's request, and I can't. It's not in my mind.
Google the right. I have as if wouldn't it be amazing if there was just some kind of handheld device I could use right now to
It doesn't exist, man. The future, though. The future's got you covered. Everyone's gonna have tricorders. Is it really lame for me to bring Star Trek shit in here? Yeah. It's
well,
bad.
I mean,
It's
probably
bad.
I just don't understand it.
Yeah, that's okay. For those of you out there, I think I just fucked up. I mentioned tricorders
I
on this
don't know.
podcast. I forever changed the trajectory of this podcast.
If it was X-Files based,
it's
I'd
going to be,
okay.
yeah, if it's X. Is there a tricorder in X-Files?
I don't know. I don't think
I'm
so.
looking at it and I don't know what song it is that is the Jamaican one.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel
Hey,
like
yeah.
I feel like the Stones one was the one that made me like really go like, whoa.
Yeah,
Everyone was doing a
doing a voice.
but also, I mean,
Code
I bet
switching.
I guess it's not limited to the late 60s. Like 10cc did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. But you're right. Like we're talking about it. It's specifically
Or like Nielsen,
yeah. However,
Lime and the Coconut.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking it was limited
Lime in
to England,
Coconut.
but it's not.
Well, Nielsen's British kind of by negotiation because
That's-
he was like the fifth Beatle.
Right.
He lived in Mayfair and stuff.
Yeah.
Bran,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone should listen to Bran and Will Scott's new single. What's it called, Bran?
A fade out.
It's called Fade Out. And it's really good.
Thank you.
But I also, it made me think kind of in terms of, because I know Johnny's kind of relationship with the canon. And, I don't want to put you on the spot here or
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that. But,
What's in my canon?
well, we've been talking about, over the years, like, all these bands, all kinds of bands, and the way in which you find your way through the canon pre-internet, because we all grew up pre-internet. And I was thinking that, like, for example, I'll give you an example. I went into a record store when I was about 16 and got to buy Harvest
Yeah,
because I knew Harvest, had heard about it.
yeah.
And the guy who worked in a record store he said, oh, you like that? You'll like this record, Poco, A Good Feeling to Know.
Nice. Yeah.
And I was like, great. So I kind of just like got it. And he said, also, you should get this. It never comes in. It was If I Could Only Remember My Name. So I thought that like those records were like as successful as Harvest. And they're not, turns out.
Right.
Or even as good.
Sure.
But it's funny the way in which we get into this stuff and the order in which it happens. And I always remember you saying that your kind of Harvest Moon was your way in a little bit.
I know.
But I think that's really interesting because it's like a really good record.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a good record.
But like, is it still your favorite Neil record?
I think, yeah, we were talking about that because of nostalgia. So yes, I think it is kind of somehow my favorite Neil record, and I know that's probably sacrilegious to
But
say.
it might not be. Like, that's the thing, because it's like, I can think of, it's a really cozy record.
100%.
Probably reminds you of your dad.
Well, that's all it is it is just my dad and all these things.
Yeah.
Everything is referenced to 74 with my dad, but yeah.
74?
Yeah, everything. Anything you talk to him about, oh, I saw Harrison in 74. Oh yeah, I saw.
But
But
Harvest Moon was
Harvest Moon was
90
93 or something, 92.
So you'd have been like 10.
Yeah.
8.
Yeah, 9 or 10,
Yeah.
I guess. And it was he got it for Christmas that year, and I still remember him getting the compact disc, which
Yeah.
is sweet because we also got our first CD player.
Amazing.
And it was like one of those weird 5-disc changer ones. It was like,
Yeah.
whoa, this is next level.
Yeah.
And but that thing was in rotation for fucking ever. So it's like, yeah, it's like every morning when I'd eat my Cheerios, it was like,
On.
yeah,
You listen to music in the house all the time.
every morning. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
like the ritual. Was like, hang on, we're having our Cheerios. I'm going to put in Neil.
Amazing.
And
Do you think that you have a kinship emotionally with, And Jeff's off mic right now because you're more than welcome to chime in. But do you think you have a kinship with Neil as well because you grew up in like northern BC where it kind of has echoes of northern Ontario in terms of the weather and the climate and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. And my mom was a big fan because she's from Winnipeg.
Yeah,
so
of course.
She's a big fan.
Minor
as well.
birds.
Yeah, so we've got this kind of like Neil lineage throughout our family. Just cause
Did he ever like? Because I grew up in Manchester and obviously like was around music that had been, you know, there was like a documented way out, you know, and it wasn't like it was only like 10 years prior to me starting to play music where it was like, oh yeah, I'm a natural freak, and then it's like, well, it turns out that it worked out okay. Like, oh, I was like a kid, Oasis are big, and you're like, okay, like that's how you do it. That's how you how you don't go and work in Poundland. You just do this. But over here, like, the landscape's so vast. Like, people like Neil must have been like, and they were so long ago, but because you know what? Our Californian contingent of listeners, you know, they sort of think of Neil as their own, right? Like, did you think of him as being Canadian? Did you think of him as being kind of one of your own? And that it was kind of like, this is something that's achievable.
I mean, like, I'm gonna chime in here. I think so. Neil Young is for Canadians that have to kind of buckle up and brave this fucking long ass landscape when we got to go on tour.
Yeah, in a hearse.
Yeah, but it is kind of like that's the inspiration, you know. Like there's not too many people that actually sort of sing about like kind of
being from Canada, except him and Joni do exemplary.
Yeah, but like and just sort of like getting through this shit.
Gordon Lightfoot,
like fucking driving 8 hours between shows in the middle of winter, kind of stuff. Yeah. And you know, you just like, even if it's not direct, you kind of just like imagine you're just like, you know, we're sort of a part of a like a creed that kind of just does this in Canada. Like we can deal with it and we can go across this country because that's required of us as Canadians.
I always liked it that Joni lived on the Sunshine Coast. I always thought that was pretty cool.
It is cool.
The For the Roses cover is like seashell or whatnot.
Yeah.
You know,
still remaining there, isn't she?
Well, she's like can't move and lives in LA now, but you know, I think she would be. Otherwise, I'd be knocking on her door, asking for her secrets.
My
she's a bit like Johnny Depp. Because she considers herself an artist and not a musician, right? You know,
or Jim Carrey,
yes,
who you still think possibly will play Paul McCartney in the new Beatles B2.
I mean, he's an artist,
great candidate.
Yeah, he. I don't think Jim Carrey wants anything to do with comedy. I don't.
So if you had Harvest Moon, I think that's a beautiful image. I remember my parents had a French friend. I forget his name. He had a really strong French accent, and he gave me, Jacques. And he gave me like a DVD of all Neil Young's albums, you know, like a burnt DVD, and we had a DVD player, and I used to sit and listen to it, and that's how I know Harvest Moon. But it was one of those, you know, it was just a big CD, really. It had 10 albums on it, which made no sense to me, really. It was unfathomable, but I remember that's how I knew Harvest Moon, because we didn't have it in the house. We had Harvest in the house, but it wasn't right. But what about, so I want to know what else was in that 5 CD thing.
Well, I'm trying to think of that time period, too, because I was like just getting into guitar, so I know my dad really wanted to cater to that. Of course. He's like, oh, sweet, you're like into this. So he had like all these sweet VHSs of like...
Joe Walsh.
What about the Eagles? I mean, the Eagles, it's funny because like the Eagles is like one of my early classic rock bands just because they released that greatest hits. Like, I mean, maybe not the greatest hits, but they released, it wasn't the greatest hits. I'm so sorry. It was Hell Freezes Over. And the greatest hits got a bump in sales after that because I didn't know any classic rock because my mom was born in 1967.
Sure.
And like, anyways, that was... You can carry
what
on
else
here.
is in? I want to know what else is in the CD player.
I was just suggesting the Eagles.
Well, it was the same time period as Mirrorball.
Oh, so
Pearl
more
Jam.
Neil.
Yeah, but it was like his way of being like, you know what, grunge it's all Neil, buddy.
Yeah,
and this is why.
Was your dad saying that?
Yeah.
It's cool that your dad had that awareness. Zuma, bro.
Yeah, but he had these
Rust never sleeps.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like VHS would be like, watch him play these two. Look what he's wearing here. He's got the shredded jeans and the plaid. Cobain's kind of lineage here.
Yeah,
you know, and you're
totally.
like, okay, so this is Lord, and
Yeah.
then you can
for 1 cent thing.
yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. Yeah. But it's funny because like you're just like, oh yeah, okay, sweet. So Neil's Lord, and now Pearl Jam.
Oh, they're like
is-
harking back.
They're the children here,
Yeah,
and they're
they're-
learning
yeah.
from the Lord.
Yeah. Okay, what
Anyways.
else? No, I'm into this.
Well, obviously Petty. I'm trying to think of his album at that
Full
time.
Moon Fever.
It wasn't.
No.
It's later.
Into the Great Wide
Into the
Open.
Great
Yeah,
Wide
Into the Great
Open.
Wide Open. That one was on cassette, so we still
Nice.
had the cassette player. But we
Yeah.
got that
That's
Christmas.
the one that really
nearly,
broke Stan Lynch.
Yeah,
It's the one that really kind of finished
really
Stan
pushed
off.
him out. Yeah,
Yeah,
He's
that
like,
was
I
it.
quit.
He's like, fuck this.
Um,
That's also a partial because Johnny Depp in the video to Into the Great Wide Open.
Yeah,
You
that's right.
know.
That's right. Yeah,
Oh, and he takes credit for that song. I've
With
read
a
interviews where he's
tattoo
like,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was kind of the protagonist in the video and also potentially like wrote the song.
Wrote the lyrics.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what
And Jeff Lynne's involved. Wilburys must have been there.
yeah, it's all in there. for
Wilburys
sure.
must have been
Yeah,
in the
Wilburys,
CD player.
Hundo P.
Yeah.
Definitely in there. It was Columbia House era where you could
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You buy the CDs
Yeah, you-
for 1 cent.
you do.
BMI, Columbia House.
you get the
Buy all the
10
CDs.
You
Yeah.
get the 10-pack
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
we just got. Hey, how you doing? Oh, dude, we only need like 5 minutes here.
Oh, no, take your time.
Yeah, we're kind of just.
Doing a podcast.
We're doing a
Doing a
podcast,
pod.
Luke. Yeah, how you doing, Luke?
You're
We're
yeah,
live.
It's live.
Yeah, you know
It is
you're on
live,
it
yeah.
right now.
Luke's in
It's
the
not
house.
live, but it's it's being recorded and no one edits it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna set a scene for you guys here. I got this guy, Luke. He's coming. This guy, not only has he come in and disturbed the podcast, he's wearing a fucking Liverpool shirt as well.
There you go.
It wasn't enough for him to come in
He's a Man City.
to
boy.
my set. He knows exactly what I
He
am.
knows.
He comes in full on.
Hanging the scarf again at the end of the season.
Oh. Luckily, these microphones don't pick up what you said. Luckily, but it's possible. It depends if your African players like leave you for 6 weeks, and well, it is based on who you got. I mean, some real players there. Hey, listen, half of the people who listen to this podcast are in England. No, the other half do though.
Oh, British.
Yeah, so people will know.
Heads will
Heads
roll.
will roll.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Luke. Literally 5 minutes.
No, take your
Yeah, heads will roll.
Heads will roll.
So Wilburys, Petty,
Wilburys, Petty.
Neil, 90s Neil.
Oh yeah, 90s.
Kind of
Neil.
Reagan era Neil.
for sure. I'm trying to think of what else.
You know what? One of the wonderful things that I love about your dad is that I've never met anybody in my life that is like Neil Young's biggest fan. I mean, like your dad, so much so, like he doesn't even really like anybody else. Like if they're Neil adjacent, he's cool. But your
Yeah.
dad is like Neil is it, and like everybody's like, yeah, I love the Beatles or Tom Petty or whatever, and I also like Neil Young. Your dad is Neil, like number one.
Yeah, he's a
Everything
diehard
else just
Neil
filters out from
So
there.
where's your dad on like On the Beach, Zuma?
Oh, yeah, those
Tonight's the night.
Big.
That's kind
Tonight's-
of later.
big.
Pete.
Tonight's the night guy though.
He is.
Oh,
that's huge, man.
Oh, yeah.
I've had some good discussions.
You
'cause
have had some
Your
discussions.
dad's a
I mean-
Tonight guy.
Oh yeah.
my
Pretty much the entire
Yeah.
repertoire.
But
But that one
stuff's-
is big
that's,
time.
Well, that's a hard record to
Oh,
listen
yeah.
to.
I have a
Oh,
good
he-
story
he-
with Rand's dad and Tonight's
Yeah.
Tonight. I discovered Neil Young through like just kind of like I mean kind of your dad almost, but like really like sort of just crate digging and kind of just like record collecting and stuff. And my stepdad passed away,
Yeah.
and at the same time my girlfriend of like 8 years broke up with me. It was a rough fucking time.
It's an impossible way of life.
Your dad weirdly was like, tonight's the night. He was just like,
Oh, that is the perfect time for that record.
and
pick
you,
me up.
You can attest to this. For an entire tour, and this tour was like 3 or 4 months long.
Yeah.
It was the only record I listened to.
Yeah, you did.
And I listened to it obsessively because it was the only record, and I never really got the record. Like when your dad suggested it, I was like, it's so fucking messy,
Yeah.
and like it's almost inaudible. And then all these things happened to me, and I threw that record on at your dad's, request, and it was the only thing that really like got what I was going through at the time. And it's like, it's one of those records. There's very few records that exist out there that are like perfect for a time and a place. And if you're going through the worst time of your life, Tonight's got you.
And it might
Yeah.
take you over the edge though too.
Yeah,
It's
it's
possible.
It's pretty dark.
I think I know another one that's in the CD player.
Yeah. Okay.
Neil Young Unplugged.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, that was.
Yeah.
On the tip of my
World on a
tongue.
String.
Yeah. Oh.
You know.
100%. Yeah.
Talking Tonight's the Night, you know.
Oh yeah.
He plays some weird stuff on that one.
Yeah. Pocahontas.
Pocahontas
Hurricane.
is really good though. No, Hurricane. That's
in there.
not weird. I'm trying to think of what's weird on it. He opens with Old Laughing Lady.
Yes, he does.
Which is like early. That's first record.
you're like,
What about
World
Blood
on
the
a String.
Tracks?
What?
Oh man, yeah.
Blood on
that
the
on
Tracks?
the-
Blood on the Tracks. Yeah, probably would have been a Columbia House buy, like
Yeah.
a late buy. Yeah,
What
but
about
it's certainly
the
in
But it was
Fugees,
in
the
there.
score?
I didn't know.
That's kind of Columbia House for me.
It is for sure. Mine was like Soul Asylum.
Okay.
Oh,
It was
Collective
that-
Soul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
Your mom, it was the one
Wallflowers or
thing your
something,
mom
yeah.
and your dad could agree
The
on. was Collective
Wallflowers.
Soul.
But that was later. That was like 98.
What about Wildflowers? Tom Petty.
Tom Petty, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's another
Reuben.
94, 93
Yeah.
record for sure. I
Do
mean,
you ever get She's the One, the soundtrack?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Angel Dream number 4 or whatever it is. Yeah.
There you go.
Big time. Love
Yeah,
that.
these-
Okay,
this-
nine.
this
So
dance
your
world.
kind of vibe is classic rock,
Oh.
but 90s records.
It
They play.
is,
Like
it
the
is.
revival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, she's the one, man. That was a big
Yeah.
big one. Is that what
So let's
with
get
the
to
walls
the point. Let's
come
roll
down?
another judge.
How did your dad feel about the Eagles? I'm just
You
curious.
don't know how it feels.
Feels,
That's
yeah,
off.
yeah.
She's the one, I think.
That's Wildflowers.
Oh,
but
is
then
it?
but then the wall. You remember that one? Like, how's that one go? Oh, it's got Lindsey Buckingham sings on it.
No, I don't know.
What about the Mac? Did he have the Mac? Fleetwood Mac?
No, it was just for some reason Buckingham. It was on the Even Walls Fall Down. It's like the first
Oh,
song.
yes, 100%. Huge.
And if
yeah.
you listen to it right till the end, there's like major Buckingham moments, and you're like, nice, a sweet collab here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was so funny,
So
man.
Here we
sick.
go, dude. Let's
Yeah.
just fucking. Yeah.
Mike Campbell's 12 strings.
Jeff Lynne, full Jeff Lynne like
And Lindsey
production.
Buckingham. I feel
Days of diamonds,
full 9.
great tune. Some days of pearls.
Oh, we covered this song?
Great. I
Oh,
used to
we're
play
in.
it a lot when I was 12.
And Sex and Candy.
Jay. Well, we gotta let it play to the chorus.
Sure.
Cause you got a heart so
He,
big.
he almost has a country.
You got. He does. He almost.
Does almost a low.
Oh, turn this shit up.
You got a heart.
There's Buckingham.
Yeah.
Got those high harms. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting nostalgic already.
Oh, what? You said this song.
Oh, this is my fucking jam.
This is your jam.
This used to kill me. This
Do you
song.
think this is Logic drummer?
It probably is? Yeah. An early version.
I saw your face.
Oh.
This is you, hey.
Lifeline.
You know, this guy took all the rest of the melodies, Tom Petty. He took the rest of them.
He's Dylan adjacent though,
He's
isn't he?
mopping
Oh
up the
yeah,
rest of the
Big
melodies.
Dylan,
Big Billin.
Big Bill.
Yeah, the Beatles
Yeah.
got most of them. Tom Petty came up and
He
mopped up the rest.
No, he mopped up Dylan's remainders. It's funny because also like you've got like because Dylan famously Iwal famously only works with people who sound like him. So like Knopfler like did records with Dylan, and same with Petty, like doing Dylan, and then Dylan's like tour with me.
Yeah.
He sticks with his own. You know what I'm saying?
That's cool. That's really cool.
Incestuous.
I mean, I'd kind of feel the same about like maybe the Beatles. Like everything that was on Apple Records just sounded like the fucking Beatles.
Well, Harrison for sure.
Yeah.
Just be like, let's write some songs.
But no one sounds like Harrison.
No.
We've
No.
discussed this.
Yeah, okay.
Except for Michael Rolt.
Not blow your mind that guy did like I Got My Mind Set on You. It's totally
A cover.
like a cover.
Yeah.
And he never told anyone.
Yeah.
When people do covers and don't tell people, it's bad.
Yeah, it's rough.
It is. It's a goddamn impossible way of life. We should let Luke
Okay.
do his synth jamming. Thanks very much for
Good
coming.
pod.
I'd kind of like to talk to you more about, your song and
Sorry.
but everyone
it's out
should
there.
everyone should listen to it.
Can you just like quickly leave the pod telling us about like some of your experiences doing the guitar on and it could just if I might interject an editing note. Brandon will just
this is
talk about his
no
tone
one's-
and you just fade him out.
Ah, yes. This is an acoustic on hard panned, and
Yeah, you did do that.
I did hard pan it, and I
Who's playing drums on this?
put a this Aiden, my friend
Your
Aiden.
friend Aiden.
Yeah, he's a digital friend, and he's hanging out back there, just hitting the rim, just keeping
Okay,
time.
Let's get into this first line. Here we go.
Oh, come
we
on,
go.
leave him alone.
That's me.
Could only stay
If I could just stay here, but I can't.
with this night.